What's going on there, guys? Good evening. It's the Earthmaster here on the live stream with an update video on this Friday night, July 22nd, 2022, about 8:15 p.m. California time here. Just going to get this update rolling. Got quite a bit of earthquake activity ramping up into the western portion of the United States, also elsewhere, but we're going to try and focus here on the activity striking out here in Northern California, right underneath my feet. Seen a 4.3 earthquake strike around the Oroville area, just south of the Oroville Dam, about 6:41 p.m. West Coast time here, so just a couple hours ago. I did not feel this earthquake. I live up outside of Chico here. It was felt throughout the region, down through even areas around Roseville, over here to Willows as well. I was out driving around in my car, so unfortunately I did not feel this earthquake, which originally had came in as a 4.5. Looks like these guys keep downgrading it from a 4.3 now to a 4.2. EMSC model showing this as a 4.0. Either way, this is the largest earthquake to strike this area around Oroville since 1975. When they last had a pretty large earthquake on this fault system here. It's called the Foothills Fault System, the Northern Reach section, known as the Cleveland Hill Fault. I got a friend that lives just outside of Palermo. He was out there enjoying some barbecue and some adult beverages and had the music going, and he felt some shaking going on. Quite a big jolt for him out there. He lives just about 4 miles from the epicenter of this earthquake. So things definitely pretty shaky out there. Pretty much all over Oroville, though, from this earthquake. From what I hear, they did do some checks and whatnot of the dam area, and everything looks clear and no damage from this earthquake. Now, 4.2 is not a large earthquake at all, but right next to a dam, that could be a little bit on the worrisome side. See it up here is the Oroville Dam, just about 3 miles to the north of this region. Now, back in 1975, I want to pull up some earthquake activity from 1975 and kind of show the importance of it, because this area is capable of producing a sizable quake. The specific fault system is. Now, I'm going to bring up the catalog here. This is the catalog from the USGS showing I pulled up 3.5 and above since about 1900. Now, the majority of this earthquake activity, and there's only 70 that is above 3.5. There was a lot more in this time frame that was much larger. So let me show you guys the bigger one that struck here. Notice the dates are all staying roughly about the same. So from what I hear, looks like the USGS showing a couple fives in there. But a couple different agencies showing 5.9 to 5.7 magnitude earthquake that struck in this region. Let me pull up the largest magnitude. There it is, 5.7. It was hiding somewhere in there. Couldn't see it, not even in the list. So 5.7 striking basically within this area of Palermo. The quake that we've seen today sits just to the east of Palermo, right about just a little bit to the east. So let's compare these two little models here. But this does cover the same fault system here, the Foothills Fault, the Cleveland section. That 5.7 again striking within that zone, within that hazard zone, and again very close to the Oroville Dam back in 1975. A lot of folks are wondering if the development of the dam created these earthquakes, and due to variables in the water level reservoir depths. But there's been ups and downs for the lakes, and they've come to the conclusion that it's not associated with the lake itself, that there is a specific fault system here that runs through here. An older fault, a much older fault, and quiet at times, as we've noted. But man, they had some big earthquakes back here in 1975, and I think if something like that were to happen a little bit closer to the dam in the area that we've seen today, things could not be good for this area. I don't think we want to see that type of earthquake around a major dam. Even though the water level is pretty low, we still don't want to see that activity. So looking at the magnitudes here over the last, or during that time period, we had at least 3 5-pointers and numerous fours. As you can see here on the map, there were 70 of them, but from what I hear, there was thousands of earthquakes here, much smaller, during this sequence of earthquake activity here in the Oroville region back in 1975. Now, there's a couple different articles here about this earthquake. Here is an article from the ScienceDirect.com website. It's an abstract here. Speaking of the August 1975 Oroville earthquake sequence, several thousand aftershocks of the August 1st, 1975 Oroville, California earthquake were recorded by many different stations here. There's a couple different fault plane solutions here. Looks like there is a dip and also a couple different types of fault systems within this region. Now, the main shock, right, back then, the 5.7, occurred 7 years after the filling of Lake Oroville. Read that right there. But only a month after the most rapid filling since 1968. But still, I'm pretty certain that they came to the conclusion that this is not related to the Oroville Dam. But who knows? Maybe it takes many, many years to see the effects, so to speak. There's another article here put out. This article here from the earthquakeauthority.com site talks about the Cleveland Hills fault. That's one fault system I was just kind of showing you guys there. During the seismic event, during the Oroville earthquake seismic event, now this is back in 1975, the ground surface fracture showed at least 2 inches of horizontal separation across the surface ruptures and as much as 7.4 inches of vertical separation. Now that explains the dip, some of the fault systems there in that region. Aftershocks of the Oroville earthquake defined a new zone of seismic activity. There's actually a pretty good wealth of info out there on this fault system here. So with this activity we've seen today, let me pull up today's activity. We have not noted any aftershock activity at all from this 4.2, and I find that a little bit odd. So over the next 24 hours or so, it definitely got to be on guard for potentially something much larger in this area. And also, if we look down south here, we've seen movement kicking up here in the Avenal area with some mid-3 range activity kicking up down here. West Coast seismically active as a whole. Therefore, I'm issuing a watch out here for the West Coast due to the seismic activity and not a whole lot of adjustment here to the west. So that teeter-totter effect that we kind of talk about quite a bit here on the channel is in full swing along the West Coast while it remains quiet around the Japan area. I want to pull up, let's go back to the catalog here. Well, let me check out the latest, newest first. I don't think it's, I clicked on newest, but okay. I don't think they have the 4.2 listed in here right now, but I do want to bring up a little bit more in terms of magnitude here from the search. Stand by for just a minute. Let's go 2.0 and above for this area, and we'll keep that as such there for the date. And there's quite a bit of aftershock activity following that movement back in 1975. Now this just covers this area. Notice the majority of these quakes are definitely well here up into the Lake Oroville area. Look at that. That's pretty crazy. A lot of quarry blast up here as well. Let's see what we got for recent activity. Looks like a couple smaller twos back in 2021, 2020 time frame. No major quakes. Again, this is the earthquake that struck today is the largest since 1975. But I'm just kind of looking at these smaller quakes, seeing if we've had any adjustment over the years in the 3 range and whatnot. But most of this looks like it's right there around the lower 2 area, including quite a few query blasts out there in that hundreds of them, actually, hundreds of query blasts. But it's definitely a highly seismically active region. I'm not for certain what the slip rate is here, or the accumulated slip rate is on this specific fault system. I haven't been able to find it, but I mean, surface ruptures as much as 7.4 inches of vertical separation and at least 2 inches of horizontal separation. There's quite a bit of buildup there. So 1975, what, 46 years? A little bit of buildup, and who knows what has happened prior to that, far as beyond the record book keeping there for Oroville area. But I think this is kind of a good indicator of some definite stress here along the west coast, and it's not out of the question that this is a foreshock. Not trying to fearmonger, and that's definitely not fearmongering, but on any sense of activity such as this, this could always be in any area. This could always be some type of foreshock. So just be on guard around the Chico area. That includes me, so I'm issuing myself a watch. I got to definitely keep my stuff prepared. Luckily, I'm a prepper, so I'm always prepared, so to speak. But yeah, Oroville area, Chico, Northern California, just keep your eyes and ears open, and make sure you have an earthquake plan up here. A little 4-pointer shaking things up. Again, if you get much bigger in the mid-upper 5 range and closer to the Oroville Dam, we could be having some issues out there. I know they're making some further repairs on it, some further reinforcements following that earthquake, or the major storms that we had back in 2016, winter of 2016-17 time period, where it, of course, eroded away quite a bit of the main spillway, and they had to halt the outflow, which filled up the lake and overfilled the emergency spillway and created a little catastrophe there. Had to evacuate the entire area because of the potential that this was going to fail. I remember watching this here from Chico on 99, watching both lanes of the highway here. You got the northbound, southbound. Both of them were headed north, trying to get all these people out of harm's way. There's a couple videos on the YouTube channel here, on my YouTube channel. You have to go back quite a bit or search it, and you'll see some of the video I took and shot out there of that incident. Pretty crazy. So hopefully nothing like that comes up here, but we don't want to see earthquake activity right next to a major dam, right? That would not be good. It's been a while. It's been kind of a hush-hush type of scenario up here, but it's there. That fault system there is capable of producing at least an upper 5. So I'm not for certain, though, if there's enough strain to produce that upper 5, but it's always good to be prepared with the ongoing seismic increase in activity here along the west coast. What else we got going on here aside from the west coast? By the way, I will include these links here, folks, into the video description below, so you guys can check them out yourself. I only went over a little portion of them. Definitely well worth the read on the Oroville area for seismic activity and historical data. Movement throughout the eastern Sierra Nevada pretty much to a minimal, at least inland. Some activity around Long Valley super volcano, nothing spectacular, just a 2.3, and a couple smaller microquakes within the vicinity of the caldera. Ridgecrest area seeing some very typical movement following the July 4th, July 5th, 2019 earthquakes. Some aftershock sequence there. And some activity throughout the southern portion of the state, including one earthquake right at the tip here of the San Andreas Fault, the southern segment. This one here very capable of producing an 8.1 magnitude earthquake. It's been well over 300 years since we've seen that rupture here of the southern segment right here. But one day it won't be so quiet. And hopefully those folks down there are prepared. I'm sure they are. Northern California, some activity outside of Eureka and the southern segment, or southern section here of the Cascadia Megathrust. This one here, which extends from Northern California all the way up here to the Vancouver Island ranges and beyond a little bit. 9.0 or greater. It's been since about 1700 since we've seen a full rupture along the Cascadia subduction zone. So a lot of areas out here primed up and due for some spectacular movement. The question is just when, what's going to trigger it? When's it going to happen? We definitely can't predict earthquakes, but we can look at these little trends and these swarms, unusual movement, could be pointing to something bigger. So just be on guard. Be on guard. The rest of the movement out through the Pacific Plate, as noted, was very quiet here through Japan. Some of this activity here in the Tonga area is much earlier, from early this morning. So if you talk about last 12 hours of activity, you can pretty much wipe off all of these quakes here along the western portion of the Pacific Plate, and note that there's nothing going on around this area. Right now, the majority of the activity looks like it's confined here to this region, and I think we should be on guard and watch until we see some further large-scale activity here along the western portion of the Pacific Ring of Fire for a little bit of relief. We always see that happen when things really kick up here along the western portion. They relieve or temporarily back off here along the eastern section, the Nazca Plate, the Cocos Plate. These aren't really of concern currently. Most of all, it seems like the west coast and the Alaska area lighten up like a Christmas tree. Movement, this one here in the Tanzania area, 4.1, much earlier. Actually, late last night this earthquake came in, so not a whole lot going on as far as world earthquake activity goes. I tell you what, though, we're looking at a ramp up of solar weather activity on the not on the sun, but far as the arrival of the CME. Let's go ahead and check out the latest activity here. Things starting to kick up quite a bit. We are expecting this G2 class storm to kick in. Now, it is not showing right now that it has arrived, at least far as this graph goes. But if we note, let me see if I can find this little area here. Okay, I wonder if they have it here. Okay, it looks like these guys have put out the info here. The shock passage. This is what I'm looking for here. It's been detected. The Discover spacecraft is detecting a shock passage that is likely related to the faint halo CME observed leaving the sun back on the 21st. The solar wind speed looks to be nearing 700. They're expecting this to ramp up to about 800. And the BZ component of the interplanetary magnetic field, the IMF, is trending south for now. An impact to Earth's geomagnetic field should take place within the next 45 minutes. This article put out at 0240. Looks like just over an hour ago, so we should be seeing things kick up. Actually, if you look here, the auroras are definitely looking more prominent in the forecasting here. KP index hasn't really reached too high, but I expect that to really ramp up super soon. Let's see here. A geomagnetic storm watch or warning will be in effect. Aurora sky watchers at higher latitudes should be alert. And of course, make sure you got your camera. Get some camera shots. Make sure you got your tripod up there as well. Here is the... You could see the arrival of that Halo CME that was directed at us. Looking at the BZBT component here splitting, indicating a southward tilt. The densities have risen. Also, the speed has taken a dramatic increase here up to the 700 km per second range. Also, temperatures elevating as well. So everything's showing an arrival in this shock passage, so to speak, from the Discover spacecraft. Let's see what we got for current data. As noted here, basically the exact same thing. And again, I think we're going to see this get pretty elevated in terms of the storming. And this kind of cool to watch. Definitely cool to watch. Let's see here. Issued at... this is the sub-auroral region that we could see activity stretch into. That looks like it does include... Hold on a second here. That does include portions of Oregon. See that? Portions of northeastern Oregon, probably just barely. I'm gonna send. I posted this on my Facebook Earthmaster page, but I am going to send this real quick and bring it up here on the live stream. I was going to do this earlier. I kind of got sidetracked here with a bunch of different stuff going on, and of course earthquake activity. But I'm going to pull up a map here in just a second, show you guys a little bit more coverage area than just this little simple graph, which just got updated, it looks like. But things are definitely kicking up here on the Aurora forecast. Stand by for just a second while I check something real quick. I need to go over here into my email and grab a picture out of here real quick. And I'll be able to show you guys real quick here. Stand by for just a second. Alrighty, I'm going to bring this over here so you guys can see the image that is posted here. This here is kind of like the Aurora possibility line, so to speak, the overhead line. KP index of 6. If this reaches up into the 7 range, then we're looking at this being more stronger, and obviously a little bit more southward tilt or southward progression here of the line. Blue line indicates the most furthest south that you should be able to see it. Again, that covers portion of the southeastern area, or northeastern area, excuse me. It's been a long, hot day of the Aurora. It looks like possibly Idaho down into Wyoming, maybe even into Kansas here, northern Kansas area. But for certainty, this area right here for sure. If you guys are out there tonight and you're seeing some cool stuff, send me some pictures. Send me a picture whenever, tonight or tomorrow. And if you guys want it on the show tomorrow night, I'll definitely give you guys credit and show your images here on the live stream, and also the update. Of course, with credit given to you, got to make sure you give your name and give me authorization to post that here up on the channel. And yeah, I definitely want to see it. Here in California, it would take a very strong geomagnetic storm for it to reach down here, but it's not impossible. Just for now, with this G2 class storming, we should see it within these levels here tonight. So it's definitely looks like it's coming for sure. Keep an eye on this. I did include the Aurora forecast on the live stream. That's going to be here on the northwestern, or the northwestern upper left-hand corner, showing the southern hemisphere and the northern hemisphere there with the Aurora forecast. That does update every 30 seconds, so be able to see the potential for auroras there in that little forecasting tool, which is pretty cool. But yeah, man, I'm excited for the folks that get to see it. We'll definitely keep an eye on it. Again, G2 class storms keeping things rather interesting here on planet Earth, and it's all kind of comes in with the earthquake activity along the west coast, huh? Although it's, I don't know, I still think there's a relation to space weather, obviously, and what happens here on Earth. That includes weather, earthquake activity, volcanic activity. I think there's a pretty strong relation between the two, and amongst other things. I'm not going to go on and open up a can of worms, but I definitely think there's a strong link between the two for sure. All right, guys, like I said, there's not a whole lot. You can scratch these out as far as new earthquake activity goes. There's just not a whole lot going on except for the west coast, so be on guard, stay safe, and again, send me an email with those pictures to earthmastermail@gmail.com. Make sure they're obviously your own images, and maybe what type of camera you used in your settings, and your location, and we'll share them out there on the channel for the world to see tomorrow night, and that would definitely be appreciated. Also, I've seen quite a few comments there from the reports of the earthquake and what it felt like. A lot of folks said it was just a shaking, a lot of shaking. Not a jolt, but just a pretty good, like someone took their house and shook it. So that definitely explains the very shallow earthquake activity that struck there near Oroville today, which, by the way, 0.4. So you got a 4.2 at that level, and these are foothills right here. So whatever struck was very close here to the ground, and that could be a bad indicator of some further stress getting ready to relieve itself there. So just heads up, folks, be on guard. All right, we'll be off on the side here watching the live stream. Make sure you guys are subscribed here to the channel so you can get notified when we send out videos and alerts. And also make sure you click that notification bell so you can get notified when we do issue those advisories and whatnot. But for now, I think we need to watch the West Coast pretty closely. That includes me and quite a few other people out here. Stay safe, folks. We'll chat you guys a little bit later on. Enjoy your Friday night.